Hello guys, welcome back to another video, and today we are racing the third race of the XCO Open Series in Washougal, Washington. As you can see, it's raining actively. It had been raining all throughout the morning. This race is around 2 to 3 p.m. and right now we're all on the start line, and it is hailing, thunderstorming, and pouring rain all at the same time. And I'm just sitting on the start line trying to figure out how and why I decided to start racing. It's about 30 seconds to go, 15 seconds to go. And as you can see just by the conditions, how wet and muddy it is. So there's the whistle, and we all get off pretty good. The one benefit of the mud is people aren't trying to charge up and be super aggressive because they're kind of scared of the slipping out. So as you can see, I only get passed by about, maybe 1-2 people on the start. But you can already see the camera's getting covered in water. Just like the volume of water was absolutely insane. So I hold pretty good position, and then through this first turn, you can just kind of see people slowly starting to slip. And it's setting in. And, through the trees it's pretty good, but all the conditions are a little bit extra slippery, so you just got to be extra cautious while passing people and things like that, because you don't want to slip out. That's the worst case scenario. I'm holding my position pretty well, and I'm excited. I'm entering this race with an open mind, because when I woke up in the morning, it was dumping rain. So I was like, you know what, we'll try our best today. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so as you can see, this is like where the feed zone is. I'm still getting past a little bit here and there as people are trying to like get around and get in good position for this course. And you can just see like huge massive mud puddles. But before that little section, I thought the conditions aren't as bad as I expected them to be. Like I expected all this to be super deep mud, but so far so good. So here I'm able to pass a few people. And right up ahead are some wooden drops, and then we enter kind of the meat of the course, like the main part of the course. And in front of me are the two people in the blue and yellow jerseys. Are from Terra Linda. I race them locally at local races. They're in my NICA league and things like that. And I'm going to refer to them as the Terra Linda twins. So if you hear me say that, that's who I'm talking about. So over these first drops, everyone's kind of going really slow because they're sketched about having grip in the rain, and I was too. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But the problem comes on this first climb, because once one person unclips, everyone unclips, as you can see. Somehow I'm able to stay clipped into the bike, and I'm able to stay up pedaling, which does give me an advantage. You can see I'm passing some people up on the right who have to walk, which is good. But this is kind of just setting the little bit of the tone for the day. And as you can see by people's tires, like almost everyone's running mud tires, but you can already see they're getting pretty muddy and wet. And there's no traction, as you can see by people putting their feet down. I still try and take the optimal line from earlier. And then on this next hill, it's just chaos. People sliding out, someone crashing up there, one of the Terra Linda twins falling over, another person crashing. So this race is a lot of a walkathon so far. And it's really the goal is just running up these hills as fast as you can. If you've raced cyclocross, kind of like a cyclocross jump on the bike of just trying to keep your momentum as much as you can to keep those positions. And I feel like I do a pretty good job getting through there. Someone has mechanical on the left, you can see. And you can see how much this field is stretched out. That's still the field trying to get through that first climb from earlier. And then here, we're kind of in the middle of the course now at this point, or early middle, and you can see the mud isn't awful, but if you look at my front tire, it has a decent amount of volume compared to what we started off with. So I am collecting mud around every turn and every corner, and as you can see, if you put on your brakes too hard, you will slide out, and there's almost no grip around us. So here we are. This is the start of one of those more open sections, and this is where you can kind of put on a little bit more power, because throughout the rest of this course you're really just trying to nurse your bike through and make sure you don't crash, because that loses you a lot more time. But through here you can put on a bit more power. And then up here The rain really kind of stopped. But the problem with the rain stopping is now all the mud just kind of turns into cake batter on your tire. As you can see, if you look at my tire, you can't see a single like knob on there. So I go through this corner, Terlinda twin slips out. I almost die too. Like around every corner, you're basically just fighting for your life. Yeah, it's super gnarly, and all the routes are extra slippery. Everything like that, it's just super bad. As you can see, to get over any little thing, a lot of unclipping. So this is where I feel like having those cyclocross skills really help you of racing in the mud and wet, because that means that you're prepared for races like this. As you can see also, when you're trying to, if you are trying to put down a lot of power, you can see your rear wheels just kind of like slipping. So that is why in these big flat, like open, not flat, but open sections, you can really put down the power, and otherwise you can't really. And then here's the main rock garden of the course. It was pretty interesting to traverse when it wasn't wet, but now that it is wet, it's just a nightmare, because it's just like little thing after little thing of, will you survive? You know, will you survive the obstacles? And then up here, this is another of those really, really slippery mud hills. And you can see just going back and forth and trying to survive. You get stuck in the mud like this wee rider did. And you're just trying to survive and not let other people pass you. But then I'm also trying to get by, because I know I can get a good time gap on other people. Then here, this is Nick. He's from Tahoe. I've raced him at some of my other CCCXs and things like that. But he gets around me. He started much further back, which was gnarly. And then here is the some little berms of the section. And you can just see this wee rider absolutely dies through these. Like, this is how little traction there is. I get around him successfully, which is good. And it's all about just picking off people one by one. And then up here to the left, this is the worst hill of the entire course. No one has any grip, and then you can't even walk up it. Like, as you can see, I'm stopped. Like, I'm not moving forward, because my feet, anytime I put down any pressure to try and climb, they completely slipped out from under me. I slipped and I actually messed up my knee a little bit through this. So that section is really crucial to run up as efficiently as you can, because if you don't, you can actually lose a lot of time there. But the problem with that is you can see now my tire is getting extra cake battery. Like, look how big and massive my tire is. I actually have to stop and kind of walk up this next section a bit, because there's not enough grip. And you can just see that's just like a massive blob of a tire. So right here is a really, really steep bit, like a whoop onto a bridge, and I'm going down, and I'm trying to keep some grip. Right here I realize, oh, no grip, and I'm down. So that's what happens with these tires, because there's literally nothing to grip onto on the ground, and your treads are non-existent. So you're basically running slicks. So then as I run up this hill, I'm talking to the other people who similar things happened to them, of they fell, things like that. As you can see, this guy messed up some of his bike. So then here I'm like, all right, time to get back on the bike. We'll get pedaling again. I try, click, clunk, nothing. What happened was my chain was so full of mud, it couldn't go onto my chain ring anymore. So now I have to pull off to the side. I have to grab my chain, and I have to clear off all the mud that has built up in it and put it back on so the teeth can interact with the chain again. That's how muddy it was. It was absolutely insane. So now I'm just trying to recompose myself, get back in the race game. So here we are onto one of those big wide sections. I try and put down a little bit of power, but here it's incredibly slippy. Everyone's saying outside. My very smart self takes the best line possible and takes the inside, of course. I survived, though. And then here, I almost crash here. It's super slippery. I'm just trying to keep my speed. You can see that front tire has no grip. Almost slide out there, but that berm kind of catches me. I'm like, oh my goodness, how did I survive that? And then I see someone pass me, and I remember, oh crap, I'm in a race. I'm not just trying to survive these trails. So I'm like, all right, time to put the power back down. Going into lap 2, let's see what damage we can do, you know? So as you can see, my watts were kind of low, but now I try to jump them back up a little bit if I can. And you can see, look at my front tire now. That's what it's supposed to look like. Like, that's what it is with tread, like it should be. Because on this section right here, there's enough water to clear off your tire, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm just gonna send it. So this little rock garden section, I send it over. It's pretty sketchy when it's wet. That's just gap jump you can hit, but I didn't gap it because it's so wet. Here's that those drops I was talking about earlier again. I do them successfully. You can just see the splattering of mud when I land. And at this point, I'm just like, as long as I stay on my bike as much as possible and don't crash, I should be good. As you can see, this is that steep hill again. And I have to get off the hill in the middle area and just walk the rest of the way up. But you can see the guy in front of me is just absolutely covered in mud. So a lot of people fell many more times than I did, and he has to straighten his bars. Like, it's gnarly out here. I'm happy I didn't fall that much. Here, this is an 11, 12-year-old who wanted to pass me in the lead, or 13, 14. It was 13, 14. And he was just trying to get around us because he somehow caught up. Massive respect to those 13, 14-year-olds who were going out here and racing in these awful conditions. Like, I didn't like it either. It's just incredible if anyone did around this time. And honestly, this is kind of the worst condition right here. Is no rain to wash off your tire, but the mud is still that peanut butter cake batter like mud. So you can see my front tire is just this massive like blob. And right here, what's going on is another 13, 14 is trying to pass me. I think it's my friend telling me, hey, there might be 13, 14s behind. I didn't realize. I feel dumb about that. I feel bad for slowing him down. Luckily, he was able to get around. I hopefully didn't slow him down too much. And then here's that super steep hill from last lap again. As you can see, I'm trying to walk up it. And I try different lines, and I'm just dragging my bike up at this point. Just whatever gets me up. I get up it pretty efficiently this time, actually, which I'm pretty happy with. And then here's where I crashed last lap. And I remember that, so I take it extra careful. You just see how much mud is spewing off my tire. I almost died there, but I survive. And then I have to walk up the rest of the hill because it's so muddy that I can't like not walk. I'm very happy the guy next to me I was talking to right here had fenders on his bike, meaning that the mud was stuck inside the frame. You know, like that's kind of what fenders do. But even just here, look at the mud on that front tire. Like, I know I've said this before and things like that, but it's just insane. And at this point, it was so full that my fork was completely full of mud too, and was actually grabbing my tire so I couldn't ride. So as you can see here, I'm bunny hopping my front wheel and my back wheel just to clear out some of that mud area. And then here we're at that rock garden again. There is a beeline here. And for some reason I take it, but like it's a worse line because it's a grassy patch. I'm going to slip out worse on that than other things. And to be honest, this race, I was kind of having the time of my life to a degree just because of how crazy it was. Like, I've never raced in this bad conditions, and I doubt most of you guys have raced in this bad conditions ever. And then I was talking to some dude climbing up that next hill. And behind us is he was 13, 14 behind us. And we were, this whole race, my main goal was to, like, keep these 13, 14-year-olds going. So I'm like, it's fun, just, like, reminding them, enjoy what you're riding in and, like, embrace it as just chaos, not being miserable, even though it does kind of suck a little bit. Here's that super steep climb for the third time. So, and as you can just see, it kind of slows down everyone. Everyone kind of falls on it. And here I get really stuck for some reason. Like, I'm using all my might. Like, genuinely, I don't think I could push harder up this hill. But somehow I'm not making any progress. And you can't see, but, like, I'm using my feet to, like, climb this hill as hard as I possibly can. And I'm making zero progress. So this was a little bit of a gnarly moment right here. Luckily, I finally pushed my bike up the hill. It took a lot of effort, but I was able to get it up and then get on it again and continue riding. And just like that, repeated, like, getting off and on and off and on and off and on the bike just really kind of dragged her morale down after a while. So here's that part I crashed again on. As you can see, my tire has less mud, it's spewing less mud, so the mud has gotten better over the course of the race, and slowly our laps have gotten faster and faster. And then here, this is last lap. I take the beeline again for some weird reason. I'm still not sure why I did that. I should have taken the rock area. And at this point, I'm just having fun with it, and I'm just like embracing the experience. And then on the right, that is actually one of my friends, Teo. He's from Ashland, Oregon, and he was also in this race and just had so much mud in his cleats he couldn't even clip into his pedals anymore. So he had to sit down, get a stick, and just start attacking his pedals, not his pedals, his shoes with a stick to try and clear them out enough where he could actually get a clip to take his cleat, which is insane. So hitting these drops for the last time, I feel like I do a pretty good job. Pretty comfortable with them. That's like the least of my worries on this course. And then going through this little section, this is a 11, 12-year-old, and I'm trying to like encourage him and remind him that it is kind of fun. It's kind of like cyclocross, you know. It's a good experience, because if I was personally an 11, 12-year-old riding this course, or a 13, 14-year-old, I would not be having fun. I would just be like, this is like an awful course. Why am I riding this? And then right here, it's starting to rain again, which is not great, because it just got to the point where it's not cake batter anymore. Here's another 13, 14-year-old, but it's not cake batter anymore. It's just like almost, yeah, it's not cake batter, so it's not getting stuck to the tire. But if it rains again, then it's going to become like cake batter again, and then like what was happening first and second lap will ensue, and that will be awful. Here I am catching another rider on one of these hills, trying to encourage them again, seeing if they're at least having some fun, you know, because, I mean, you don't have to be, like, having super fun, but at least, like, being like, whoa, this is crazy. Yeah. Everyone's having mechanicals, crashes, and that was kind of like the joint energy of this race, I would say, is surviving, not racing. Like, I don't feel like anyone was really racing this course. Like, you weren't going super hard. And then this, look at that rear tire. That rear tire completely deflated, and he has to ride an entire lap like that. And yeah, it's just impressive. I am so happy I only had that minor mechanical mid-race. And then here's that hill for last time. But luckily, since I only had that minor mechanical earlier, I don't even know what I would do if I had a flat. Just because, like, even trying to find the hole with all that mud all over your tires and everything, it would just be awful. So I actually get up this last hill for the final time pretty fast. Not extremely fast. It's not like one of, you know, how fast it should be, but I get by it. Another 11, 12-year-old I pass, you know. Yeah, my advice was just to vibe, and the guy behind me, I was doing the same thing. We were just talking about that stuff, you know, how awful the course is. And then here's the area I crashed again. As you can see, a little bit worse than lap 3, but much better than lap 1 and 2. And we actually climb up the other side. We don't have to walk, which I was super happy about. And then here's that final hill to the finish again. I almost die. And at this point, I'm like, all right, we're so close to the finish. Just survive. We're almost there. And at this point, I am actually thinking about position, because I'm like, every position does kind of count. And if I get a better position by 1 or 2, that's beneficial. So I really turn on the jets, try and drop the guy who I was talking to behind me, and get a good gap. As you can see, the conditions didn't really improve. And at the end, I'm just basically like, I wouldn't say hysteric, but I'm like a little bit like, oh my goodness, I just did that. That's insane. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.